Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Coming up in the next hour. India's rapidly expanding infrastructure network is boosting ease of living. Prime Minister Narendra Modi highlights efforts for making India self-reliant. US cities brace for more protests as parts of Los Angeles placed under curfew. Trump warns that protests at the upcoming army parade in Washington, D.C. will be met with huge force. California governor warns democracy under assault. Pakistani national Shahzaib Khan extradited to the US for ISIS-related terror plot in New York City. FBI Chief Kash Patel says Khan was arrested by Canadian authorities on September 4, 2024. Austria declares 3 days of national mourning as police search for answers in the mass shooting incident that left 11 dead in a school in Graz. And South Africa to face Australia in the World Test Championship final at the Lords in London. Prime Minister Narendra Modi-led government has completed 11 years in office. Up next, we revisit the government initiatives in revolutionizing India's infrastructure capabilities. Prime Minister Narendra Modi marked a significant milestone in India's growth journey, celebrating 11 years of infrastructure revolution, a decade plus of transformative infrastructure development that has enhanced India's growth trajectory. Prime Minister Modi emphasized India's outstanding strides in infrastructure spanning railways, highways, ports and airports, leading to enhanced connectivity, economic expansion and improved ease of living, enhancing prosperity for its citizens. Further, the Prime Minister reiterated that India's push for next-generation infrastructure is driven by sustainability and long-term vision. It lays the foundation of a self-reliant India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said. India is on an ambitious journey to revolutionize the country's infrastructure landscape, aiming to bolster economic growth, enhance connectivity and improving the life of its citizens. With a focus on modernizing transportation networks, upgrading urban amenities and expanding digital infrastructure, the government has launched several transformative initiatives. The last decade has seen India's landscape reshaped with world-class connectivity, engineering marvels and a future-ready foundation.
Over the past decade, India has witnessed an unprecedented scale of infrastructure development driven by a holistic and integrated approach. India now boasts world-class roads, railways, airports and more. From the Atal Tunnel to the Statue of Unity, these projects are not just about buildings and bridges, they are about building a stronger, self-reliant India that stands tall on the global stage. Major national initiatives like Pragati, PM Gati Shakti, the National Logistics Policy, Bharatmala, Sagarmala and Udan have collectively shaped the vision of a connected and competitive India. This is not just about infrastructure. It is about laying the groundwork for a prosperous, connected and sustainable Bharat. Let's amplify these milestones using 11 years of infra revolution and celebrate the monumental strides India has taken. Anchored in key policy reforms and mission mode projects, this transformation has not only expanded physical connectivity but also elevated economic productivity, reduced logistic costs, and enhanced service delivery. Now let's take a look at some of the major transformation in transport sector. PM Gati Shakti unified planning across 44 ministries and 36 states and union territories on a GIS based platform. National highways grew by 60% from 91,287 kilometers to 1,46,204 kilometers. Highway construction pace rose to 34 kilometers per day. Bharatmala, 26,425 kilometers were awarded, 20,378 kilometers constructed. Now 7.8 lakh kilometers rural roads have also been completed between 2014 and 2025. PMGSY the fourth to connect 25,000 habitations by the year 2029. Not only this, 68 Vande Bharat trains are running across 333 districts. Now, over 45,000 kilometers of rail electrification also completed since the year 2014. If you talk about safety, Kavach has been deployed on key routes. 1,790 lifts and 1,602 escalators have been installed for accessibility. 88 airports have been operationalized under the Udan scheme. Over 1.51 crore passengers have been flown under regional connectivity. Digi Yatra, adopted in 24 airports, have over 5.22 crore users. Drone policy and MRO reforms boosting local aviation ecosystem. Port capacity also doubled to 2,762 mmtpa. Overall, vessel turnaround time improved from 93 to 49 hours. Green hydrogen hubs under development at three major ports, PIB ports. Sagarmala completed 277 projects, and Sagarmala 2.0 has also been launched. And inland waterways cargo also rose by 710%. From record expansions in highways and expressways to the electrification of railways, greenfield airports, ropeway connectivity in hilly terrains, and smart digital platforms, the infrastructural push reflects the government's commitment to inclusive and sustainable development aligned with the goal of a Viksit Bharat by the year 2047. Bureau Report, DD India.
And we are now joined by economic analyst Professor Ashwini Mahajan on the show now. Welcome, sir, to the program. So raising resources for development is always a difficult issue. Tell us about the kind of financial resources involved in building India's infrastructure over the past 11 years and how they have been raised in your view.
See, the government has been able to muster much of the resources, and if we make a comparison between the previous government and this government, before 2014, the annual budget had only approximately 1 to 2 lakhs crores of rupees for the infrastructure. But this government in last year, it was 11,000 crores plus, and this year it is more than that. So resources are very, very important, and the government has been able to, help raise the resources through more of tax collections and resources from other sources. But the nothing can be more clear when we see the amount of infrastructure being constructed. It is all round: road, rail, metro, air. Everywhere we see, in even the waterways, we see a lot of development and much and resources are. I don't think any constraint on that. In fact, whenever we talk to the ministers, we always find the answer is that resources are no constraint, and we are building whatever best we can do.
Okay. During the infrastructure development process, there was a choice between employing various business models. Could you shed some light on the business models that the government has employed in infrastructure development, especially in the building and operating of Indian highways and expressways, and why?
You see, without the cooperation from the private sector, this much of infrastructure building is not possible. Government can't do everything. But we always have to create a kind of ecosystem where, on the one hand, resources can be provided by the government, and then secondly, from the private sector based on the profitability. We see if we a lot of monetization is also happening of the assets, and on the other hand, we also see the public-private partnership, whether it is in roads or railways or even the airports. We see a lot of public-private partnership taking place, and everybody is the gainer. The private sector who is investing, the government which is getting a lot of traction because of that, and the people at large. If we see the economy per se is getting benefited out of it. If you see, our exports were not very competitive for the simple reason that we have very high logistic costs of transportation and others. So we have been able to reduce the transport cost. And in fact, whenever we talk of infrastructure, we talk only of the physical infrastructure. But we must appreciate the kind of infrastructure, the digital infrastructure which is taking place. Digi Yatra you mentioned in your report, but at the same time, other digital infrastructure is also very important. And this could not have been made possible without the cooperation of the private sector, without the business models being tried and uh, seen the success of that.
Okay. Now, railways is also a major transporter of both people and economic goods. Could you underline what are the principal achievements in the development of Indian railways in the past 11 years?
You see, railways, we see many developments. One major development is the electrification. The other major development is in terms of the safety, the coverage which you talked about. And the third major thing which we see in the railways is the private public transport partnership, which is helping the railway to expand and to improve the railway facilities. If you see the railway stations, many of the railway stations are look better than the airports even. And this is showing the new kind of, and Vande Bharat again, when first Vande Bharat came, nobody could have imagined that we can aspire for 400 Vande Bharats, and already so many Vande Bharats in 333 districts which you mentioned has already been running. And if you and the kind of experience you see in Vande Bharat, and when you make a comparison between India and many of the developed countries, our railways are much cheaper, whether it is in the goods transport or in the passenger transport, and we are able to provide the same kind of experience and facilities in Indian railways at 1/5 of the cost, or even at sometimes 1/10 of the cost, which is there in most of the European countries.
And what about harnessing the full potential of India's waterways? Perhaps, its importance has been less well publicized. Tell us about the key developments in the area, including in modernization of ports and how it has boosted connectivity and trade.
You see, waterways have always been very important historically as well, but we have been able to reinvent them, and now we see inland and waterways also working quite fine, and I expect in future uh, our burden on the road transport and the railway transport might get reduced with the development of the waterways. So a lot of things are happening, and private sector again is doing well in that. And I'll be missing something if I don't mention the Gati Shakti. You see, previously, what we had never thought of integration of the different modes of transport, rail, road, and water and air. Now with Gati Shakti, all of them can be integrated, and if a multimodal transport system can be developed, our cost of transportation of goods can come down hugely, and that can help our goods to be more competitive in the global markets. This is not the only thing. A lot of wastage is also reduced because of the Gati Shakti. We know Earlier, when the roads were laid, and immediately after 2, 3, 5, 6 months, again there will be road cutting, and other agencies will come. Now all agencies are getting together to build a better infrastructure without wastage, and this is something which is unique in India. I don't see there are many things unique in India in terms of the digital infrastructure, in terms of physical infrastructure. So you don't see any parallel to Digi Yatra. You don't see any parallel to Gati Shakti. You don't see any parallel to many things, especially in the payment system. And all that is happening because of the digital infrastructure which the government has built.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Professor Ashwini Mahajan, for putting the progress of last 11 years in these 5 minutes, 5 or 6 minutes. So thank you very much for explaining to us in detail. Namaskar. All right. In a historic moment for Mizoram, Aizawl has been officially connected to the railway map and thus to every heart over India. After detailed inspections and speed trial, Commissioner of Railway Safety CRS has commissioned and authorized the Bairabi-Sairang railway line in Mizoram, marking the full integration of the state into the national railway network. The 51.38-kilometer broad gauge line was commissioned and authorized after inspection. Mizoram is now fully integrated into the national railway network. This transformative achievement is expected to significantly enhance passenger and freight movement, stimulate socio-economic growth and fulfill a long-standing aspiration of people. You're with us on DD India News Hour. Still to come on the show. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar delivers stern message for Pakistan in Brussels, calls it Terroristan. India-EFTA trade pact to enhance stability and predictability in bilateral ties, says Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal, as the deal is likely to be implemented from October. And Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis attends the mass marriage ceremony of 13 former Naxalites in Maharashtra's Gadchiroli district.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Tanvi Taneja. Mohammad Shahzeb Khan, a Pakistani citizen residing in Canada, was extradited to the United States on charges of attempting to provide material support to the ISIS and attempting to commit acts of terrorism. Towards the end of the last year, Khan allegedly planned to travel from Canada to New York and carry out a mass shooting in support of ISIS at a Jewish center in Brooklyn. Khan allegedly planned his attack to occur on October 7, 2024. The one-year anniversary of the Hamas terrorist attack in Israel. FBI teams and its partners exposed the plans and shut them down, and Khan was arrested by Canadian authorities on September 4, 2024. He's now arrived in the US and will face justice. This is what FBI Director Kash Patel informed on social media platform X. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has sharply criticized Pakistan during his official visit to Brussels, labeling it Terroristan, while urging the international community to adopt a zero-tolerance approach towards terrorism and nuclear blackmail. Speaking at a joint press conference with EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, Kaja Kallas, on Tuesday, Minister Jaishankar said that the current situation should not be viewed as a conflict between two states, but as India's response to terrorism.
Not a conflict between two states per se. This is actually a response to the threat and to the practice of terrorism. So I would urge you to make it, don't think of it as India-Pakistan, think of it as India-Terroristan.
Kaya Kallis also reiterated the EU's strong condemnation of Pahalgam terrorist attack. She stressed that India has a right to protect its citizens in accordance with international law.
I want to reiterate the EU's strong condemnation of the terrorist attack in Pahalgam, Jammu and Kashmir. Those responsible must be held accountable. India has the right to protect its citizens in accordance with the international law.
The joint presser came as the two sides concluded the first India-European Union strategic dialogue. In all, the two sides held productive discussions on deepening cooperation in defence, maritime security, counter-terrorism, cyber and artificial intelligence, space and defence industry collaborations. The two sides also shared perspectives on Indo-Pacific region, situation in Europe and West Asia. In all, Jaishankar stressed that as political democracies, market economies and pluralistic societies, India and the EU share many convergences in an increasingly multipolar world. Earlier, Dr. Jaishankar also called on EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. The minister welcomed her strong condemnation of terrorist attack in Pahalgam and solidarity in combating terrorism. The two leaders discussed efforts underway to deepen the India-EU partnership. They also agreed on the potential benefits of stronger cooperation in trade, technology, connectivity and security for both their regions. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal indicated on Wednesday that the Swiss part of the India-EFTA trade deal is likely to be implemented from October this year, with the other three countries, Iceland, Liechtenstein and Norway, already having ratified the trade deal. Piyush Goyal noted that the agreement marks a new chapter in strengthening Indo-Swiss ties, paving the way for even greater collaboration ahead. The minister made these remarks during his two-day visit to Switzerland.
स्विट्जरलैंड का प्रोसेस 2-2.5 महीने और चलेगा। अक्टूबर में अनुमान है कि इसको हम लागू कर पाएंगे और कई सेक्टर्स में निवेश की संभावना दिखती है। स्पेस के सेक्टर हो, हाई प्रिसिशन इंजीनियरिंग हो, फूड प्रोसेसिंग हो, फार्मास्यूटिकल्स हो। मैं समझता हूं कि स्विट्जरलैंड ने जो टेक्नोलॉजी में अपनी एक नाम हासिल किया है, उसका पूरा लाभ भारत ले पाएगा, कि हमारे पास स्किल है, कौशल है, टैलेंट है, हमारे खर्चे कम है भारत में कोई भी चीज बनाने के। स्विट्जरलैंड में $1 लाख की पर कैपिटा इनकम है, तो यहाँ तो कुछ भी चीज बनाई हुई दुनिया की मार्केट में जा ही नहीं सकती। भारत उनके लिए एक बहुत विश्वसनीय पार्टनर के रूप में, साझेदार के रूप में साबित होगा।
On March 10, 2024, the two sides signed the Trade and Economic Partnership Agreement, which will lower or eliminate duties on various products, including Swiss watches, Swiss chocolates and cut and polished diamonds. Meanwhile, Switzerland's State Secretary for Economic Affairs, Helene Budliger Artida, has said that India is a preferred place for Swiss industry, highlighting India's huge consumer base and its firm economic growth.
We see certainly India as a preferred place for our industry because you are a democracy that helps. We feel united in values. You are an excellent consumer base. You have excellent growth. So we're very much interested in India. India with 1.4 billion consumers, with your economy growing, and we see also Minister Goyal this morning spoke about on how much people have been able to be lifted out of poverty and actually join middle class in India.
Secretary East of India's Ministry of External Affairs P. Kumaran led the delegation at the East Asia Summit senior officials meeting held in Penang, Malaysia. Secretary Kumaran underlined the important role of East Asia Summit towards promoting free, open, inclusive and rules-based Indo-Pacific, as this premier leaders-led mechanism is marking its 20th anniversary this year. Sharing India's position on regional and international issues, he called for collective action for addressing menace of terrorism that poses a serious threat to peace, security and development of the region. Chief Election Commissioner Gyanesh Kumar held a series of bilateral meetings with the heads of various election management bodies on the sidelines of his visit to Sweden to attend the International IDEA Stockholm Conference on Electoral Integrity on Tuesday. These engagements aim to further strengthen India's long-standing partnerships in election management and democratic cooperation. During the bilateral meetings, CEC Gyanesh Kumar held one-on-one discussions with heads and senior officials from several election management bodies covering a wide range of global electoral experiences and innovations. Later in the evening, CEC Gyanesh Kumar delivered the inaugural keynote address at the opening session of the International IDEA Stockholm Conference on Electoral Integrity. Pune's Pimpri-Chinchwad College of Engineering has made history by launching India's first computer engineering program in a regional language, Marathi, under the new education policy. This innovative program, which began in 2021-22, has shown remarkable results, with all 67 students set to graduate without a single dropout. The program promotes inclusivity and empowers students to learn in their mother tongue. The curriculum includes bilingual code constructs, projects-based learning, and real-world applications such as blockchain debates and machine learning research. Still with Maharashtra, in a display of transformation, a mass marriage ceremony of 13 former Naxalites who had surrendered earlier were also organized in Maharashtra's Gadchiroli district. Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis attended the ceremony and wished the newlyweds a happy life. The region that was once dominated by the sound of gunfire, landmines and encounters is now replaced by the melodies of wedding music. Under the state government's surrender and rehabilitation policy, the former Naxals will receive personal security, education, employment, housing and financial aid. And some weather updates from India now. With the mercury showing no signs of easing, Delhi is likely to remain under extreme heat stress. The Weather Observatory on Wednesday issued an orange alert for heat wave for Delhi, with the maximum temperature for the day is forecasted to reach 44 to 46 degrees Celsius. With heat wave conditions gripping the capital, the India Meteorological Department has warned that extreme heat is expected to continue in the coming days. Dusty winds and heat wave warnings were issued across parts of Rajasthan, Punjab and Uttar Pradesh. As a 10-day early monsoon set in Kerala, record rainfall and gusty winds featured the coastal states, gradually progressing towards the northeast. Heavy rainfall with thunderstorms were predicted in Tamil Nadu, with the northern regions of Andhra Pradesh placed under orange alert. And next we take a look at other stories making news in India. The Indian Navy and the UK Carrier Strike Group conducted a passage exercise called PASSEX in the North Arabian Sea on June 9th and 10th this year. Indian warship INS Tabar, along with a submarine and P-8I aircraft, joined HMS Prince of Wales and HMS Richmond for tactical drills. The exercise included helicopter operations, anti-submarine coordination and officer exchanges, reinforcing naval cooperation. An Indian Army contingent has landed in Ulaanbaatar, the capital of Mongolia, to participate in the 22nd edition of the multinational military exercise Khan Quest, scheduled from June 14th to 28th. The exercise aims to prepare Indian forces for the UN peacekeeping missions, focusing on joint planning, tactical drills like cordon and search operations, IED countermeasures and casualty evacuation. It will also serve as a platform for sharing best practices among nations. And the Himachal International Film and Art Festival is set to host its second edition from June 13th to 15th at Kullu, announced founders Raja Singh Malhotra and Anurag Vashisht of HIFAF and Soch Foundation. The festival will showcase over 50 films, many of which are not readily available on mainstream platforms. Various feature films will screen at the HIFAF directly after their appearance at the Cannes Film Festival. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Russia and Ukraine exchange an unspecified number of sick and wounded prisoners of war, the only tangible outcome of the peace talks so far. Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk seeks fresh start after the presidential election defeat.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Thank you for being with us on DD India News Hour. I am Tanvi Taneja. Here are the top stories of this hour. India's rapidly expanding infrastructure network is boosting ease of living. Prime Minister Narendra Modi highlights efforts for making India self-reliant. US cities brace for more protests as parts of Los Angeles placed under curfew. Trump warns protests at the upcoming army parade in Washington, D.C. will be met with huge force. California governor warns democracy under assault. And Austria declares 3 days of national mourning as police search for answers in the mass shooting incident that left 11 dead in a school in Graz. Following a series of immigration and custom enforcement ICE raids in Los Angeles, protests have erupted across several United States cities, including New York, Atlanta and Chicago. In response, President Donald Trump deployed more troops to Los Angeles, including the National Guard and U.S. Marines. Trump also warned people against protesting at the weekend military parade in Washington, D.C., marking the U.S. Army's 250th anniversary. Meanwhile, the protests against immigration arrest entered its fifth day in America's second largest city. Ayushi Bhatnagar reports. Tensions continue even on the fifth day in Los Angeles after protests against immigration and customs enforcement gripped the city despite an imposed curfew in some areas effective from 8 p.m. local time. Local police said that mass arrests have been initiated in addition to 197 people already under custody as several stayed on the streets despite the mayor's announcement of an emergency and imposition of an overnight curfew.
I wanted to let the city know that I have declared a local emergency and issued a curfew for downtown Los Angeles to stop the vandalism, to stop the looting.
In Los Angeles, the streets have transformed into battlegrounds. Clashes with police and National Guard, the raising of Mexican flags have become symbols of resistance against the administration's immigration raids. In response, hundreds of U.S. Marines arrived in the Los Angeles area on Tuesday under orders from President Donald Trump, while California Governor Gavin Newsom warned the move will put democracy under threat.
Donald Trump, without consulting California law enforcement leaders, commandeered 2,000 of our state's National Guard members to deploy on our streets, illegally and for no reason. This brazen abuse of power by a sitting president inflamed a combustible situation, putting our people, our officers, and even our National Guard at risk.
In a hardline speech at an army base on Tuesday, Trump said Los Angeles was being invaded by a foreign enemy and vowed to liberate the city after days of protests sparked by immigration raids.
Under the Trump administration, this anarchy will not stand. We will not allow federal agents to be attacked, and we will not allow an American city to be invaded and conquered by a foreign enemy. And that's what they are. A lot of those people were let in here by the Biden administration. They just poured right in. In Los Angeles, the governor of California, the mayor of Los Angeles, they're incompetent, and they paid troublemakers, agitators, and insurrectionists. They're engaged in this willful attempt to nullify federal law and aid the occupation of the city by criminal invaders. That's what it is. They're invaders, no different.
The unrest isn't confined to Los Angeles alone. Cities from Chicago to New York and Atlanta have witnessed similar protests, with citizens voicing their opposition to the administration's immigration tactics. As the situation worsens, Americans and the world watch closely to see what the future holds for US immigration policy and civil liberties. Ayushi Bhatnagar's report for DD India. DD India's Akshay Dongre joins us on the story now. Akshay, protests have spread to cities like New York, Atlanta and Chicago now. How extraordinary are Trump's measures of sending National Guard and US Marines to quell protests in Los Angeles?
Well, we have seen this in the past as well, and even before Donald Trump was elected as the president for the second time, he had made it very clear that the reason why the Democrats are winning is also because of the undocumented immigrants who are voting illegally. He has been raising this claim that voter IDs are not being checked of people before they are going to cast their ballot, and that is being done by the Democrat government of Joe Biden to make their candidates win across the states, and in the states where the illegal immigration population is the maximum, there most of the time the Democrat candidates are winning, and that is why they are trying to protect their vote bank. So it's more of a personal battle for Donald Trump as well as far as the immigration policies are concerned. We have seen it in the previous term as well. He had banned several countries from even entering into the US. He has been willing that option for a while now, and US has also named a few countries from where people will be requiring extra checks and approvals before they can land anywhere in the US. So as far as the protests are concerned, and the decision that Donald Trump has taken is coming from it seems that it's coming from a very, very personal decision, that he is not going to tolerate any opposition to these raids that are going to deport all the illegal people who are staying in the US. Now, from a legal point of view, it's not wrong. As far as the president is concerned, he's taking steps to act according to the Constitution and act according to the US courts as well. But the way it's being done is a controversial topic, and what we are seeing right now is that it's spreading across the US, and as you have mentioned, to New York, Atlanta, Chicago. There have been many such instances where protests have erupted. So we are also seeing another side of the story. The Republican, especially the Republican-backed governors, are on themselves, calling in National Guard before any kind of such protests are planned. For example, the governor of Texas has called in National Guards to quell any kind of protests from happening. So all that is also happening. So it's now a political battle as well as a personal battle for Donald Trump, and it seems that he's not going to back down unless the courts of the US force him to do so. On the legal front as well, Donald Trump is preparing as far as any opposition to his deployment of troops on the US soil for these raids are concerned, and he has also warned that if protests happen across the US or anywhere in the US outside the LA, the action that will be taken by the government will be equal or even greater than the action that has been taken in the LA.
For now, protests are spreading to cities like New York. We leave it here. Thank you very much, Akshay Dongre, with your updates on the story. Violent clashes broke out on Tuesday in Bolivia's La Laluga, a mining town in Potosi province, as residents confronted Evo Morales' supporters who had blocked local roads. The confrontation, which lasted more than an hour, involved explosions from dynamite and rock throwing, resulting in several injuries. The protests were triggered by supporters of Morales demanding that the electoral court allow the former three-term president to run in the upcoming elections, even though constitutional rulings bar him from seeking re-election. Residents and transport groups attempted to clear roadblocks that had disrupted food supplies for days. Meanwhile, fuel shortages in Bolivia have stretched into the fifth week, worsened by road blockades tied to the ongoing political unrest. These shortages are affecting water pumping and irrigation systems, essential for both livestock and human use. Minister of Rural Development Yamil Flores stated the country is facing daily agricultural losses of 42 million Bolivianos. The situation, driven by dwindling dollar reserves and a political tension, poses a serious threat to Bolivia's rural economy and food security. On to the Russia-Ukraine war now. Russia and Ukraine exchanged an unspecified number of sick and wounded prisoners of war on Tuesday under an agreement reached at the peace talks last week in Turkey. The handover took place after an initial swap of prisoners under the age of 25 was conducted on Monday. So far, prisoner exchanges remain the sole tangible result of the peace talks, which have yet to make progress towards a ceasefire. Last month, the largest swap was occurred with 1,000 captives exchanged from each side. During last week's meeting, both parties also agreed to return the bodies of thousands of soldiers who have been killed in the war. Hundreds of masked rioters attacked police and set homes and cars on fire in the northern Irish town of Ballymena on Tuesday. It is the second successive night of disorder that followed a protest over an alleged sexual assault in the town. Several vehicles were set ablaze past midnight. Officers in riot gear and driving armoured vans responded with water cannons and plastic baton rounds after being attacked by petrol bombs. Protesters gathered in Ballymena on Monday in response to a case involving 2 teenage boys who appeared in court that day, accused of sexually assaulting a teenage girl in the County Antrim town. And on to Austria now. People gathered outside the school in Graz, leaving flowers and candles to pay tribute to the victims of a school shooting in which 10 people were killed. A crisis intervention team provided psychological support to those affected, including commuters and families with small children. Police said that the suspect opened fire at a high school in southeastern Austria, who acted alone and took his own life in the school toilet. Police said they had found a goodbye letter addressed to his parents during a search of his residence, but that it included no clues about his motives. According to police, the alleged perpetrator used 2 legally owned weapons. Interior Minister G. Karner told reporters that he was a former student at the high school but had not finished his studies. Austrian Chancellor Christian Stocker declared 3 days of national mourning to remember the victims, saying the country had witnessed an act of unimaginable violence. In Poland, Prime Minister Donald Tusk's government is set to face a vote of confidence in Parliament, seeking to regain momentum after a presidential election defeat. The vote scheduled for Wednesday comes amid doubts about the administration's future due to the opposition-controlled presidency. Tusk aims to present a new plan of action to Parliament and regain momentum for his government. Rafał Trzaskowski from Tusk's Civic Coalition lost to nationalist Karol Nawrocki, sparking recriminations from coalition partners and concerns about the government's stability. On to South American nation of Suriname now. The ruling party and its top opposition rival won almost the same number of parliamentary seats in an election on Sunday, setting the stage for complex coalition negotiations that will determine who becomes Suriname's next president. Results showed the opposition National Democratic Party had won 18 seats. With this, the NDP leader, Jennifer Geerlings-Simons, eyes presidency after legislative win. On the other hand, the ruling Progressive Reform Party of the current president, Chan Santokhi, won 17 seats, and smaller parties, now potential kingmakers, won the remaining 16 of the 51 total seats. And next we take a look at other stories making news around the world. Costa Rican authorities have seized over 3.4 tons of cocaine hidden among fresh fruits in a shipping container destined for Europe. Officials discovered the smuggling operation during routine scans in Limon province, where the narcotics were carefully concealed within legitimate cargo. According to Costa Rica's Ministry of Public Security, this latest bust brings total drug seizures at Costa Rican ports to more than 13 tons this year alone. British scientists are raising concerns over a sharp decline in emperor penguin populations as melting sea ice threatens their survival. These iconic birds depend on stable ice to raise their chicks, but warming waters in the Southern Ocean are causing it to disappear too soon. Satellite data reveals colony numbers are dropping at an alarming rate, with some declining twice as fast as scientists predicted. Harsh weather, storms and predators like orca whales further add to their struggle. Greenland's ice sheet melted 17 times faster than the past average during a May heat wave that also hit Iceland, the scientific network World Weather Attribution said in a report on Wednesday. The Arctic region is on the front line of global warming, heating up 4 times faster than the rest of the planet since 1979. In Iceland, the temperature exceeded 26 degrees Celsius on May 15th, unprecedented for that time of the year on the subarctic island. You're watching DD India News. Are still to come on the show. US-China reach a deal to ease export curbs, keep tariff truce alive in their talks in London. England completes series sweep with a 37-run victory over the West Indies in the third T20. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I am Tanvi Taneja. India has achieved a historic milestone in the realm of social protection coverage regarding one of the most significant expansions globally. According to the latest data from the International Labour Organization's ILO Stat database, India's social security coverage has increased from 19% in 2015 to 64.3% in 2025, an unprecedented 45 percentage point surge over the past decade. During a bilateral with ILO Director General Gilbert F. Huang Bo, India's Union Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia highlighted the pro-poor and labour welfare schemes undertaken by the Modi government over the past 11 years. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also tweeted about it. He wrote on X, and I quote, "This is a commendable rise, indicating our commitment towards welfare-driven development and ensuring our various pro-people schemes reach maximum number of people," unquote. On to London now, where top US and Chinese officials were meeting on Monday to ease trade tensions. This comes as after 2 days of stringent US-China negotiations. US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick announced that a trade framework and implementation plan was agreed with China in London, and it should result in restrictions on rare earths and magnets being resolved.
We expect that the topic of rare earth minerals and magnets with respect to the United States of America will be resolved in this framework implementation. That is a fundamental part of that. Also, there were a number of measures the United States of America put on when those rare earths were not coming. You should expect those to come off sort of, as President Trump said, in a balanced way. When they approve the licenses, then you should expect that our export implementation will come down as well.
In a separate briefing, China's Vice Commerce Minister Li Shingang also said that a trade framework had been reached that would be taken back to the US and Chinese leaders. Both sides will now seek approval from Donald Trump and Xi Jinping. Moving on now, tech billionaire Elon Musk has publicly expressed regret over recent remarks he made about US President Donald Trump. In a post on his social media platform X on Wednesday, Musk acknowledged that his comments had gone too far. Trump and Musk began exchanging insults last week on social media, with the Tesla and SpaceX CEO describing the president's sweeping tax and spending bill as a disgusting abomination. Musk's post comes days after Trump said that his relationship with Musk was over. Now, with the current travel and trade chaos enveloping the world, Germany is finding itself caught in the middle. And with a new government in charge, Berlin is thinking about new ways to strengthen the country. Lars Holter is with Deutsche Welle and joins me from Berlin now. Lars, what can you tell us?
Thanks for having me. Well, yes, the German economy has been in a rather dire situation for a while now. We've seen 2 years of a straight-up recession. We're now in a third year, hoping for maybe just a stagnation, which, yes, might be better than a recession, but still, Germany hasn't seen any economic growth over the past 3 years. Now, obviously, there are a number of reasons for it. There's Russia's war in Ukraine leading to an energy crisis in Germany. There's a trade war started by US President Donald Trump. There's a lack of skilled labor holding back companies. Be it all as it may, it's certainly high time for a major change. And that's exactly what the relatively new government is going for. And they are trying to move the goalposts for the German economy. Because for decades, we built pretty much all our economic success on exports. Germany was widely known as an export nation. Among the goods we sold abroad were cars, chemicals, machines, industrial parts. Thanks to the strength of German engineers and developers that turned made in Germany into a globally accepted trademark signaling quality. But in an effort to switch gears, the government wants to move away from the export-only, or let's say export-mostly economy, and also strengthen domestic demand.
Thank you, Lars, for all those updates. Lars Holter reporting from DW Berlin. And time now for some sporting action. Australia will lock horns with South Africa in the World Test Championship final at the Lords in London today. South Africa have won the toss and opted to bowl first. Defending champions Australia will want to reclaim the title. They defeated India in the 2023 WTC Final. South Africa, on the other hand, will be eyeing their first ICC title since 1998. The Proteas finished at the top of the standings, winning 8 of its 12 matches, while Australia came a close second with 13 wins in 19 games. England wrapped up a series clean sweep with a 37-run victory over West Indies in the third T20 on Tuesday. Ben Duckett's inventive 84-run knock helped big-hitting England blast their way to a record score on home soil. He, along with Jamie Smith, shared a 120-run stand, which provided the backbone of England's total of 248 runs. Chasing 249, West Indies lost openers Evan Lewis and Johnson Charles Cheapley. Captain Shai Hope fought back with 45, while Rovman Powell launched a valiant counter-attack with an unbeaten 79-run knock. Despite Powell's efforts, Windies fell short at 211 for 8 as England's disciplined bowling ensured a convincing victory to wrap up a successful limited overs campaign. Brazil, Australia and Ecuador became the latest teams to book their berth to the FIFA World Cup 2026 that will be hosted by the USA, Canada and Mexico. 13 spots have already been booked out of the 48-team tournament in the first ever edition after FIFA decided to expand from the old 32-team format that had been in place since the 1998 World Cup. Let's understand the qualification process and the teams that have already qualified.
With just a year away from the FIFA World Cup 2026, the battle for qualification is in full gear. The 2026 edition, which is still now the largest edition, will feature 48 teams, up from the previous 32, with qualification campaigns across the globe entering their final stages. The most anticipated soccer tournament in the world will be jointly hosted by the United States, Canada and Mexico, who became automatic qualifiers along with 10 other teams who have booked their qualification so far. The European Confederation is guaranteed 16 slots of the 48 teams, while the African Confederation has 9 and Asian has 8. There will also be a minimum of 6 each from South America and the Confederation of North, Central America and Caribbean Association Football. On top of this, for the first time in the history, the Oceania Football Confederation has one guaranteed slot, while the remaining 2 spots will be decided through intercontinental playoffs. With UEFA qualifiers just starting, no European national team will be confirmed soon, but Uzbekistan officially qualified for the first time ever at the World Cup after a 0-0 draw against UAE in the AFC qualifying third round, as did Jordan and South Korea. Australia became the 6th country in the AFC region to book its World Cup spot on Wednesday as it joined other regional powerhouses in Iran, Japan, and South Korea. Lionel Messi's Argentina clinched their spot for the 2026 as the reigning champions will enter as one of the favourites. Brazil and Ecuador joined Argentina as the 3 teams from the region that have qualified for the World Cup. Brazil defeated Paraguay by 1-0 on Wednesday to remain the only team to qualify for every edition of the FIFA World Cup in the history. Ecuador has also emerged from CONMEBOL qualifying with a draw away to Peru. Most of the biggest national teams around the world, like Spain, England, France, Germany, and Italy, have yet to book a spot in the first 48-team World Cup in the history of the competition, but they all are expected to be there. The 2026 edition will kick off on the 11th of June 2026 and will end on the 19th of July in the New York City. Sports Desk, DD India.
And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And for those on the go, you can download our DD India mobile app for news and updates from India and the world. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.